Everyone, you've learned a bit about Docker and you've learned a little bit about Whittle. We'll end by sort of doing a few callbacks to Dockstore itself. Um, Now that you have an understanding of Docker and workflow languages, hopefully you have a better appreciation for what Dockstore is trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do in regards to portability, interoperability, and reproducibility. The basic idea is that if you put your open source workflows on something like Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitLab, you will be able to store your descriptors and register them as tools and workflows on Dockstore. This allows for a centralized catalog of bioinformatics resources, and we're interoperable with a large number of analysis environments. They're listed there on the right, but one other thing I wanted to note here is that we recently added support for GitHub apps, which allow you to very quickly edit your workflows on GitHub and get them synced to Dockstore automatically without any additional work on your part. Looking a little bit more deeply at launching analysis, once you have a workflow registered on Dockstore, there's a series of buttons on the right-hand side of your workflow, which allow you to launch your workflows in a variety of partner platforms. There's DNA Stack, DNA Nexus, Terra, the Cancer Genomics Cloud by 7bridges, there's Anvil and BD Catalyst. In practice, what you want to do rather than run workflows through the Dockstore command line is to take advantage of one of these partners to run your workflow at scale without really having to worry about managing your own cluster or managing your own tooling yourself. And here's an example of what it would look like once you've clicked through to Anvil. There's a link to the original workflow on Dockstore itself, and you'll find that this particular workflow is part of the Anvil organization and their collection of Cumulus workflows. And there's the contributor down there at the bottom. And well, what is organization? Oh, okay, so this is going to be a little bit out of order, but for general practices, we have a series of tutorials on the Dockstore site where you can basically find out how to include information such as authorship or contact information for your workflows. We explain a bit about why it's good to use tags for your workflows instead of branches, in a sense that when you're using releases and tags, they're less likely to change and it keeps your versioning consistent, i.e. more reproducible. We have a bit of information on test parameter files. The idea is that when you share your workflow with others, you often want to provide test parameters that use publicly available data that allow others to play around with your workflow reasonably quickly, and maybe some other test parameter files that include larger real world examples of data. We have different features that allow people to find your workflow, so labels to basically make it easier for others to search for your workflow. We have a snapshot and DOI functionality that I'll show a little bit about in the next slide. And for those really advanced users, we have checker workflows that you can read about that allow people to test the compatibility of your workflow with different workflow environments. So for DOIs, here's an example of what the interface looks like on Dockstore for issuing a DOI. The idea is that you can first hit a snapshot button, which will freeze your workflow for eternity, allowing people to go back to it for in the future to reproduce your work. And the idea is that you can request a DOI that you can use in your publications to refer back to the workflow that you used. For organizations, organizations are structured in a way that allows different labs to organize and collect workflows, either from themselves or from other people. Here's an example and a screenshot of a COVID-19 collection that is produced and maintained by the Broad Institute. You will find that there are organizations that will also highlight other people's workflows. For example, your lab may use a variety of workflows that are both written by yourself and written by others, and you can use this feature in order to basically share your work and show off the set of workflows that you use. For getting help on Dockstore, there's a handy button on the top right of the screen where you can basically click on a help button and be sent to our user forum where you can basically ask the members of our team to assist you with particular workflows or just with workflow technologies in general. To wrap up, a lot of the information that we're linking out to and that you will be getting in your take-home materials is actually available on docs.dockstore.org. You will find a large series of documentation and tutorials at that site to help guide you in your work. So to finish off, I'd like to thank the members of the Dockstore ecosystem. The community has pulled together over 700 tools and workflows, and there's a partial listing of some of the contributors to content on Dockstore. And on the right, various integration partners that we've had and we're very thankful for being able to run workflows from the Dockstore system. To wrap up completely, I'd like to thank Andrew and Louise, who've done the majority of the work for this presentation. And there's a listing of the other members of the team that also develop and support the Dockstore site as a whole. And that about wraps it up.